pick what you and your family likes. Just trying to make these like more well-rounded meals that do allow you to pair their carbohydrates with like the protein, healthy fats, and fiber are going to help make sure that you're nourishing yourself.
Welcome to the Vibrantly You podcast. We're your hosts, Megan Martineau.
Caitlin Cipriano. In this podcast, we talk about fitness and nutrition on your motherhood journey. Whether you're trying to conceive, pregnant, postpartum, or beyond, you're welcome here.
Nothing is off limits, and our goal is to support you in this important season of life so that you can feel vibrantly you. As a reminder, this information is not medical advice. Please see the show notes for more details. Hello, and welcome to the Vibrantly You podcast. I'm Meg, your co-host, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that I just know so many moms can relate to: postpartum meal prep. If you've ever felt like you're surviving on cold coffee and your toddler's leftovers, this episode is definitely for you. So, Caitlin, I know you've been helping moms navigate this chaotic season for years. So, what would you say makes postpartum meal prep such a game changer?
Thanks, Meg. I think this is really, really huge, and it can be a missed like piece that not everyone does, but so helpful. And it's really not just about like having the food on hand. It's really about making sure that you're set up for success that you can nourish for your recovery from having birth, supporting your energy levels, and just like taking some of that stress off of your plate when you're already juggling so much, whether it's your like first baby, newborn, or you have other kids at home, it can just make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And especially when you said just like one less thing to stress about, because during this period of time, like there's a lot of things that are stressful. The last thing we want to be like running around trying to figure out is what to eat.
Yeah.
So I know that you have a lot of great tips as we get into it in this episode. So first, let's talk about why meal prep is so important in the postpartum phase, and what really is going on with mom's body after birth, and what do we need to pay attention to?
Yeah, there's so many changes that are happening after you give birth. It- both from a like, okay, yes, we're like healing and recovering, but also your body is going through the biggest shift hormonally right after you have baby, which can be really tough, not only physically, but emotionally as well. Nutritionally, your needs are going to be higher in this, especially this initial postpartum period, which is really what we're talking about today. So that like initial postpartum, like 0 to like 6 week, that phase that you really think of as being postpartum, even though it's forever after you've had a baby. But you need to replenish nutrients like your iron and your calcium. Like I just said, like supporting that big change in your hormones, keeping your energy levels stable, especially if you are breastfeeding. But even if you aren't, and you're just trying to keep up with your newborn baby, maybe other kids at home, and also that tissue recovery as well. So there's a like really big multitude of components that are going on here. So no
Yeah.
clear-cut answer.
So there's clearly a lot going on with your body. So it makes sense that food is going to play a really big role in that healing and everything. But I know that a lot of moms, especially in those first weeks, are really just trying to survive. I know that was my case. So like what happens if you are, just struggling and you are skipping meals? Maybe you're grabbing things that are like more processed or not like super nourishing, like kind of what's going on
Yeah.
there, what do we need to be looking out for?
Yeah, I think this can be a really big slippery slope, like you just said. It's really easy to not have a plan in place and just sort of like grab to what you feel like is like convenient, but oftentimes does end up being like a more processed option. Um, and like we talked about, like this isn't about being perfect here, but this is a time where you can really set yourself up for success so that you can feel better. So more about being like intentional versus again perfect.
Mhm.
Um because when we do skip meals or like we're relying on those things that might be more convenient, they can lead to like energy crashes, mood swings, like slowing down some of your recovery, especially from like a tissue and inflammatory perspective. So we've talked about this a little bit before, but we want to try to focus on incorporating protein, healthy fats, and fiber alongside our carbohydrate sources. This is going to help you be able to sustain yourself for longer. We're going to have, again, more even like energy and moods. And because we're including more whole foods that have like less inflammatory drivers, we're going to help with that recovery process. So, especially like, think about this as like you just had like a major surgery, and maybe you did if you had a C-section, but like we're really trying to nourish our bodies so that we're supportive to what is going on during this postpartum period. And the nutrition piece just can be really instrumental because let's be real, like you're sleep deprived, you have a new baby, so you're gonna feel really drained, and the nutrition part can just like make such a big difference in how you feel. And there's some really great research in this area, especially with that connection between inflammation. If we're able to lower that, it can actually decrease some of those like postpartum mood disorders that tend to come up for
Oh,
moms.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
So,
I mean, obviously, like nutrition is so foundational to like your overall health. But I
yeah.
also love like what you said about, I mean, whether or not you had a C-section, like thinking about this as a major event that has happened to your body, both physically and emotionally. And I do think sometimes we just get so caught up in what does the baby need? How can I, best support the baby, 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 that we kind of
Yeah.
forget like we need a lot of support during this
Yes.
time period too. And nutrition can be, I don't want to say like an easy way, but like a very accessible way
Yeah.
to help ourselves heal and really recover. So let's kind of move on to the how to's. So, how can moms set themselves up for success with their postpartum meal prep? Like, what would you say are some like top strategies that seem to be successful for your clients, when they are really sleep deprived and just juggling so much at the same time?
Yeah. I love how you mentioned like accessible. I think that goes hand in hand with this piece of like trying to maybe like prepare ahead of time so you can be more intentional, take some stuff off of your plate. So if you're still pregnant, like this is your prep window, like get some stuff stocked in your freezer that you can have on hand before baby arrives. So this is where like some batch cooking and getting some like freezer friendly meals into place, like soups and casseroles of like breakfast burritos. Those all freeze really nicely and you can reheat easily or dump into a crock pot, you know. Bone broth is also really nice in here, but really anything that your family likes and enjoys that you can make ahead of time to just be able to pull out of your freezer and like dump on a sheet pan or throw in the crock pot. So again, like it's low effort, or you can have your partner do. Like make sure that whatever you're prepping, like you have someone that hopefully can help like take some of this off their hand, but all you have to do is be like, hey, like go throw this in the oven, please. You
Yeah,
know?
like, one thing that so my mom, doesn't live near me, so she
Yeah.
came to visit when I was, I think, like, 37-ish weeks pregnant, and one thing that she did was just make a ton of, like, freezer-friendly meals, like the soups, the burritos, all that stuff, and she, like, wrote down the exact
Yeah.
instructions for us for, like, how to heat it up, and it was, like, seriously, like, if you need a gift idea for
Yes.
family, like, that would be a great thing, like, "Come over, make my meals for me so we can throw them in the
Yes.
freezer." Because then it was so easy because my husband could just pull them out, read the instructions, prep it,
Yeah.
like, It was such a game changer. So I love those freezer friendly meals. Like it does just make life so much
Mhm.
easier. But if we have people listening to this that are maybe they just had their baby and they're like,
Mhm.
crap, okay, I didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
What could they do now that's still like easy?
Yeah, and no judgment at all, like, this may not be something that you've even thought about or been in the forefront, so if you're starting from scratch, my advice would be to really focus on some, like, small, quick wins for things that you can put together that don't take, again, much time or effort, so try to pick up some staples, things you like, again, like canned beans like chickpeas, black beans, frozen veggies, and other whole grains like oats. Um, things that are like a little more like, shelf stable where you can throw them together without a ton of prep. I'm thinking things like overnight oats, some like warm chickpea bowls, or like a veggie stir fry, things that short on time, you could potentially do while, like, your baby wearing, and go from there. You can also think about sort of meal prepping in smaller chunks where you're not being like, "Oh, I've gotta spend hours in the kitchen," kinda like your, mom did, rather, like, using baby's nap time or, like I said, like, you're wearing baby in the carrier and you can just, like, chop some veggies together or put together a batch of energy bites, things you can do in small times, but still help you be able to grab what you need when you do get hungry can also be super helpful.
Yeah, I love that. Energy bites is always a great one, especially if you are like breastfeeding, like 'cause
Yeah.
you can be really hungry. So what are some other good like I guess, like, nourishing type snacks because it can
Mhm.
be so easy to just, like, grab some goldfish or,
Yeah.
you know, like, especially if you have older kids at home, just, like, taking a Dino Nugget off their plate, like,
Yeah.
so what is, like, something that would be good for, like, a nourishing snack?
Yeah, I think snacks are so key. Our energy increases do go up about 500 calories specifically if you're breastfeeding. Obviously, every individual is going to be a little different, but that's what the research shows on average. So you certainly are going to need like an extra meal or again, like these sort of smaller snacks broken up into pieces over the course of the day. I think the energy bites or like lactation cookies are again like really easy to put together and be able to grab and go as you need to. They're going to have your protein, your healthy fats, and some fiber too, typically from like some nuts and seeds. So you have this nice little like nutrient dense ball that's super easy. I like Greek yogurt with like some granola or nuts and seeds. I think like apple or other fruits with like nut butters are also convenient for a lot of people. The goal is to have like again those like things on hand that you like enjoy that have a little nutrient density that you can just grab when your hunger hits. So again, just have some things stacked up that you like.
Yeah. Okay, that's perfect. What would you say, like, for someone who's really looking for some inspo and it's like, okay, give me like a sample day
Yeah,
postpartum, like what would kind of be like an ideal day? Like
sure.
breakfast, lunch, dinner, and some
Yeah.
snacks.
Yeah. I'm gonna give a couple options for, like, each meal as well as some others. We kinda talked a little bit about snacks, but I have a few other ideas. Um, again, like, pick and choose what you like from this. The biggest thing is that, again, you're having some things that feel doable from a preparation standpoint, that you like and enjoy, and that you could be consistent with. Um, breakfast, I think we mentioned before, like, I love those, like, breakfast burritos, egg muffins with, like, vegetables freeze really nicely if you make bigger batch. I know we both love, like, overnight oats. Again, I think it's just, like, another quick, easy way. You can add a lot of nutrient density. Eggs typically, again, are really easy for people. You could do, like, a sweet potato hash with some kale, something that feels, like, warm and comforting, which is again, like, helpful from a healing and digestion process. So, as you're thinking about your cooking, having more, like, cooked foods, especially from like a vegetable standpoint, is going to be easier on your digestive system, which is tends to be a little challenging for people right after you've given birth. So thinking about to those like bone broth based soups, like chicken tortilla or a lentil stew. Again, like really warm, nourishing, going to be more gentler on your digestive system. I love like sheet pan meals. I think those can be really family friendly and also just like easy because you just throw it, chop it up and throw it in. So something that can be doable again if you need to baby wear. Include a protein that you and your family like, salmon, chicken, and then some roasted veggies, and you've got, again, nice well-rounded dish. I also love doing just, like, bowls that have those components too, so, like, quinoa, whatever greens you like, maybe a tahini dressing for your healthy fat. Um, Again, include some pieces that you like and enjoy with these. And then if we circle back around to snacks, again, like energy bites, Greek yogurt, a smoothie with protein powders, another like super quick and easy one. And then, yeah, people love lactation cookies or like muffins. Those are all really great too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think these are all such great ideas. I mean, I know for me, even now, like a year plus postpartum, like a lot of these things are like still staples for me. Things that are
Yeah.
just really easy to throw together. You know that they're nourishing. They're yummy because that's like a big factor too. You want to like
Yes.
enjoy your food.
Yes.
And I think like there's so much variety too, like so many
Yeah.
things that you can choose from that are still easy. So it's like a win-win for sure. Um, so as we just begin to wrap up this episode today, do you have any like last big tips for
Mhm.
keeping meal prep simple?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is like give yourself some grace. This doesn't need to be perfect. This isn't probably a time where you're gonna want to try like a bunch of new things. So again, this is why I feel like pick what you and your family likes. Just trying to make these like more well-rounded meals that do allow you to pair their carbohydrates with like the protein, healthy fats, and fiber are going to help make sure that you're nourishing yourself and your family. Again, like we said, like ask for help, like, see if family members can contribute. But it can feel overwhelming, so don't feel like you have to do it all at once. Just start small.
Yeah, I love that. So helpful. Well, thank you, Caitlin, for all of those tips. Hopefully, if you're listening, whether you're still pregnant or in that early postpartum period, you found this really helpful. If you did like this episode, be sure to share it with a mom friend who might be in this stage of life as well. And don't forget to leave us a review so more moms can find our podcast. And if you want some more nutrition, inspo, guidance. Don't forget to head over to Instagram and follow Caitlin at Wholesome Huntress Nutrition. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next episode.